In the middle of a gigantic stadium in South Korea, thousands of people scream anxiously as they call for the singers of the Huntress group to start their big show. What none of those fans know is that the members of the group are not just singers, but hunters of monstrous creatures. In the past, demonic beings used to invade the world, where they stole the souls of their victims in order to channel large amounts of power to their leader, known as Guima. However, the army of monsters was surprised by a trio of magical warriors. These fighters possessed voices capable of repelling the darkness of demonic beings, and the union between people caused by the trio's music created a protective barrier. This shield is called Hanmoon, and at the beginning of each generation, a new trio of warrior singers is chosen to continue this mission. After telling the whole story of her ancestors, Celine turns to her three disciples Mira, Rumi and Zoe, and says that they will be responsible for creating the final barrier. Feeling confident, the trio prepares to start their mission, and at dusk, the Huntress fans arrive at the stadium to watch the final show of their great world tour. When he notices that the girls haven't shown up yet, Bobby, the group's manager, becomes worried and uses his phone to find out where they are. On their private plane, the girls chat while eating large quantities of food so that they have enough energy to perform their last show. Just then, Rumi receives a video call from Bobby, who asks where they are, but the conversation ends up being interrupted by the fans, who steal the businessman's cell phone so they can talk to the girls. The man quickly retrieves his phone and asks why the trio are so late. Looking out of the plane's window, the girls discover that the aircraft has already passed the stadium, and they realize that the flight attendants don't even seem to have noticed. Irritated, Rumi tells Bobby that they will be arriving in a few minutes, and after ending the call, the leader goes to one of the stewardesses. Not wanting to waste another second of her time, the girl says she's figured out what's going on and that all the flight attendants are demonic beings in disguise, since their actions don't seem to make any sense. In addition, Rumi grabs one of the woman's arms and notices that she has several infernal marks around her body. Realizing that they have already been discovered, the demons then reveal their true form and claim that they will eliminate every single fan in that stadium. Upon hearing this, the girls go into a rage, and after preparing themselves, they set off to attack their opponents, attacking each of them while singing their songs to generate Hanmoon around the aircraft. Soon after, the trio uses one of the plane's thermoses to strike the monsters, and so that they can finish them off once and for all, they decide to conjure up their combat weapons, which are created with the essence of the magical barrier. The group then sets out to attack the demonic beings, eliminating each one with ease, but at that moment, they notice that part of the creatures has escaped, taking pieces of the aircraft with them. So the girls finish their instant noodles as quickly as possible, and without wasting any time, they jump out of the plane, starting a free fall towards the stadium. Now that they've made it to their concert, the singers jump onto the stage to eliminate the monsters that survived the fall, and Zoe throws one of her knives at the last of them, eliminating it with ease. With the threat of the demonic beings neutralized, the Huntress group put on their show for all their fans, and are extremely excited to notice that part of Hanmoon is turning golden for the first time. At the end of the show, the great magical shield is finally created and spreads throughout the region, trapping the demons who were about to invade the human world once again. In the underworld, one of the creatures that had infiltrated the group's plane goes to her superior, and although she is afraid of being punished, she claims that she was unable to stop the girls, as they have great combat skills. In a rage, Guima uses his demonic flame to eliminate the creature, saying that he is tired of seeing his monsters fail miserably. Witnessing yet another of their gang being punished by the Lord of the Underworld, the infernal beings feel frightened, at which point Gina appears. Using his banjo, the young man sings a song as he approaches Guima with his demonic tiger, accompanied by his teammates. After being asked why he was doing all this, Gina reveals that he has a new idea of how to confront the warriors, and says that this time, they will have a great chance of winning. The young man explains that in order to weaken all of Hanmoon's energy, they must create a fake musical group, so that they can steal every single fan that keeps the barrier standing. Despite finding the idea funny, Guima decides to allow the group to start the plan, and as he knows that Gina has always acted with only himself in mind, he asks what his condition will be to carry out this mission. Upon hearing this, the young demon remembers the actions he committed in the past, and says that all he wants is for his memories to be erased. Back at the stadium, the trio are encouraged by the appearance of a golden piece in their Hanmoon, and after saying goodbye to Bobby and his team, they set off towards their building. Happy to finally be able to rest, Zoe and Mira grab dozens of treats from the kitchen and head for the sofa so they can relax a bit. At the same time, Rumi decides to release the group's new album so that they can generate the golden Hanmoon as soon as possible. Soon after, the girl goes to a gigantic closet, where she comes across the new outfits they will be wearing during their next world tour. Rumi quickly goes to Zoe and Mira, who panic when they notice that their friend is already wearing her new outfit. Just then, Bobby appears, saying that the whole world is already listening to the new album, and despite being tired, the girls feel excited and decide to continue with their work. A few days later, the group do an interview in one of the city's studios, and reveal that their next concert will take place in a few minutes, where they will broadcast their new song to all their fans. While her friends were preparing for the recording, Rumi went to her dressing room and began to observe the demonic marks around her arms. Trying not to think about it, the singer puts her outfit back on and heads back to the studio with her friends to start recording the new song. Suddenly, Rumi's voice breaks and she is confused as to why this could have happened. The young woman then asks the producers to restart the recording, but her voice fails once again, and Bobby asks if everything is all right with his friend, as she doesn't understand what's going on. Rumi asks them to take a 5-minute break, causing the manager to panic as tens of thousands of fans are waiting for the trio outside. In her dressing room, the young woman unzips her neck and discovers that her marks have spread once again, compromising her voice. Thanks to this, Rumi panics and flees the scene, running through the city so that she can get away from everyone. In doing so, the girl remembers the conversation she had with Selena in the past, at which point it is revealed that the young woman is the daughter of a powerful demon, who had a romantic relationship with her mother, who was a great magical warrior. So that Rumi could stay focused, the woman explained that her disciple was not like those creatures, and that her marks would disappear as soon as the golden Hanmoon appeared. Despite knowing this, the young woman had always been taught to hide her secret from everyone, and decided to do the same with her best friends. After a few minutes of running around the city, Rumi reaches the top of one of the buildings, and no matter how many times she tries to repeat the lyrics, she can't complete the song. Outraged, the young woman starts screaming, causing a shockwave to be generated from her anger, which makes her increasingly worried. Hours later, Rumi meets up with her friends in her apartment, and upon hearing her friend say that her voice is failing, Zoe tries to comfort her, saying that she has an idea of how to solve this situation. The next day, the trio disguises themselves so they can walk the streets, and Zoe takes her friends to Dr. Han's office, where they receive a box of throat tonics that will help the young woman recover. As they leave the venue, the singers come across a group of young men approaching them, and because of their appearance, they end up falling completely in love. Soon afterwards, Rumi bumps into one of them, causing her to fall to the ground, but the young man doesn't mind and continues on his way. Irritated by the man's attitude, the girls help their friend up and prepare to leave. At that moment, the trio hears a song playing, and as they approach the source of the sound, they find the young men dancing and singing around people, and discover that they are a new musical group called Saja Boys. During the performance, the girls discover that they are actually demons in disguise, and Rumi says they need to eliminate them as soon as possible. Realizing that their fans are in danger once again, the members of the Huntress group prepare to fight their new rivals, and invade the venue where they are performing to carry out a surprise attack. However, the disguised demons already know about the girls' presence, and during the program, they invite them onto the stage, forcing the girls down a slide. Despite being in a rage, the singers try to prevent their fans from noticing that something is wrong, and at the end of the show, they set off to chase the group, who ran into a bathroom. Quickly, the trio enters the place wielding their weapons, and before they can be attacked, Gina opens dozens of portals, where several aquatic demons emerge from inside the bathtubs. The Huntresses then set off after the creatures, and Rumi runs after the group, managing to corner Gina. At the same time, Zoe and Mira fight side by side to eliminate the demons, and during the fight, they notice that Hanmoon is becoming increasingly weakened, allowing more monsters to emerge. In one of the saunas, Rumi fights furiously against Gina, who dodges his attacks with ease, at which point he sees the girl's marks on her arm. Confused, the young man begins to wonder how this is possible, and suddenly, one of the creatures destroys part of the wall, allowing the girl to see her friends being surrounded by the demonic beings. Panicked that her secret is about to be discovered, Rumi becomes paralyzed, leaving the pair even more desperate. At that moment, the young woman is saved by Gina, who hugs her before running off, tying a piece of fabric around the torn area of her costume. Now that her marks are protected again, Rumi reunites with her friends, and in just a few seconds, the magical warriors manage to eliminate every last demon in the place. Soon after, the trio is thrown out of the bathroom by an old man, who goes back to washing normally, without even imagining that his soul is being stolen by one of the creatures, who has managed to hide from the hunters. In the Huntress building, the girls observe the city, and when they notice that Hanmoon is getting weaker and weaker, they feel worried about what might happen from now on. Suddenly, Bobby appears and says that the Saja boys are taking over all social networks. Tired of it all, Rumi declares that it's time for them to write their next hit song, and the girls are excited to put an end to those demons once and for all. Later, the leader of the group goes to her bedroom balcony, where she is surprised by a sinister bird, which leads her to Gina's demonic tiger. The creature then hands the girl a letter, and upon opening it, Rumi realizes that it is an invitation from the leader of the Saja boys to meet that night. Soon afterwards, the tiger teleports away, but despite her reluctance, the young woman decides to accept the invitation and sets off to meet the young man. Upon arriving at the scene, Rumi tries to carry out a surprise attack on Gina, but she discovers that it was only a mannequin, and when she sees the leader of the rival group, she tries to attack him once again. The young man then tries to calm her down, saying that he only came to talk, and explains that Guima was responsible for everything that happened in his life. Gina reveals that in the past, he had his soul imprisoned by the demon lord, and feeling that he identifies with Rumi, he asks her to tell him how she received her marks. However, the girl refuses and tries to attack him, but the young man teleports away, leaving her frustrated. As time goes by, the singers continue composing their new song, and during production, they go out to hunt the demons that arise from Hanmun's flaws. In addition, the demonic tiger continues to torment Rumi, and in order not to be discovered by her friends, she tries to keep the creature hidden in her room. A few days later, the girls are preparing to hold an autograph session for their fans, but suddenly they are surprised by the Saja boys, and so that the audience won't be divided, Rumi says that they will all sit together. As a result, the singers sign everyone's belongings on the spot, but thanks to this, fans are starting to create theories about the union of the groups, claiming that the girls seem to be having love affairs with the members of Saja boys. Later, while writing the lyrics to the song in her room, Rumi is surprised by Mira, and despite great difficulty, she manages to hide the demonic tiger, which has begun to stalk her on a daily basis. Realizing that she won't be able to deal with the creature for long, the girl gives up ignoring the invitations and decides to meet Gina. Meanwhile, demonic beings continue to capture souls throughout the region, and as the days go by, dozens of people begin to disappear throughout the city. After meeting with Gina, the young woman claims to have discovered a way to free him from Guima's clutches, and reveals that the demon lord will have no influence on the human world after the Golden Hanmun's generation. Rumi asks the singer to help the Huntress group become famous again, because once they can make a strong enough connection with their fans, they can create a barrier that will banish Guima forever. In addition, the girl says that if Gina wants to be free from the demon lord's manipulations, he can remain in the human world after the creation of the Golden Hanmun, and live the rest of his life in complete freedom. Despite this, the young man is reluctant to accept the request, at which point the pair are surprised by a bracelet seller, who presents Rumi with one of her products. Trying to convince Gina, the girl asks him to keep the bracelet and says that the only way they can become free is by defeating the great evil leader. A few days later, the trio of singers rehearse on stage at their concert, and Rumi says she doesn't like the lyrics they've produced so far. Upon hearing this, the girls become extremely confused and question their friend about her behavior, but suddenly, a shockwave passes through the place. Believing that a great horde of monsters may be about to emerge, the girls decide to abandon the rehearsal, leaving Bobby alone once again. The trio then go to the top of a subway, where they encounter hundreds of demons coming towards them. In order to protect the passengers, the young women set off in a fury against the creatures, eliminating dozens of enemies while singing their new song to weaken them. Despite managing to fight off the demons, Rumi ends up being surprised by a big boss, who hits her with a powerful blow, causing her to be thrown away. Quickly, the girls run to protect their friend, and after performing a double combo, Mira sticks her weapon into the ground, eliminating all the surrounding creatures. However, it's too late, and as they get off one of the wagons, the girls notice that all the passengers have been captured by the infernal monsters. The subway then arrives at the station, and feeling disappointed by their friend's absence, Mira and Zoe leave. Hours later, Rumi meets Gina once again, and during the conversation, the young woman admits that since she started talking to him, her voice seems to have returned to normal. Soon after, the pair start singing together, and at the end of the song, Gina realizes that he can no longer hear Guima's voice in his head. Thanks to this, the young demon ends up convincing himself to help the girl, and promises that he will make his group lose their fame at their next performance. Excited, the young woman decides to return home, but at that moment, Gina is pulled back into the domains of the Infernal Lord, who reminds him of what he really did in his past. After seeing the memories of when he abandoned his family when they needed his help the most, Gina panics, but Guima says that he will keep his agreement and remove those memories if his subordinate does as he is told. The next day, the girls manage to reconcile and decide to choose another song to sing at their next concert. At dusk, the stadium fills up with hundreds of thousands of fans once again, and the presenter kicks off the big show. As they walked towards their dressing room, the girls came across Gina and his group making their way to the stage, and Rumi noticed that the young man seemed to have a much more serious expression than before. Excited, the presenter declares that the Saja Boys show is about to start, but at that moment, all the lights go out, leaving the audience extremely confused. Soon after, Bobby rushes to warn his singers that their rivals have just had a fight on stage, and claims that this will be their best chance to win back all their fans. Upon hearing this, the girls feel hopeful and head towards the stage, where they start their incredible show, getting the whole audience extremely excited. During the song, Zoe and Mira run off stage so that Rumi can perform her solo, and before they can get back to the show, they see Bobby being led away by security. Without thinking twice, the girls run to protect their friend, but in doing so, they discover that it was actually a trio of demonic beings who had used their powers to trick them. At the same time, the power in the room is suddenly turned off, and soon afterwards, a new song starts up, and Rumi notices that this is the lyric they had decided to discard the day before. At that moment, the young woman is surprised by a pair of demons transformed into her friends, who start pushing her and surrounding her around the stage. So that they can destabilize the girl, the creatures remove Rumi's golden costume, which has her marks revealed to everyone, causing her to become completely desperate and start screaming. Thanks to this, all the spotlights in the venue are destroyed, and after leaving the stage, the young woman runs into her friends, who avoid getting close to her. Panicked, Rumi tries to explain what's going on and shouts for them not to leave her, but this only frightens the girls even more, causing them to draw their weapons to protect themselves. Devastated by everything that has just happened, the young woman flees the place, and when she meets Gina, she wonders why he has done all this. The demon then replies that everything he had said so far was just a lie, and that Rumi should be content with who he really is, since there is nothing that can be done about it. After the argument, Gina leaves the place, and feeling guilty for everything that is happening, the young woman gives up on everything, leaving an evil crack wherever she goes. At the same time, Zoe and Mira notice that the honeymoon is about to be completely dissipated, and Bobby remains silent as he witnesses the Huntress group's audience dwindling extremely quickly. Soon afterwards, the Saja boys appear on all the screens around the venue, and Gina reveals that they are going to pay tribute to the girls' K-pop group that was destroyed after the disaster. The singer says that his group will be performing at the Great Seoul Tower, and invites everyone to attend the show. Before they can react, Bobby, Zoe and Mira begin to hear voices in their minds, causing them to lose control of their actions, and just like everyone else, they set off in the direction of the performance. Meanwhile, Gina and his group are waiting for the Great Demon Banquet to begin, and as soon as the show starts, they sing their new song, wearing their real costumes. As the show goes on, Guima gets bigger and bigger, while the group uses their powers to float around the stage during their song. During the performance, the audience goes into a state of hypnosis, causing everyone to start walking towards the infernal rifts, but when all seemed lost, Rumi appears and interrupts the performance with her voice. Feeling victorious, Guima says that there is nothing more that can be done, and despite his provocations, the young woman decides to continue singing, causing Zoe and Mira to be released from hypnosis. Now that they're back, the girls start singing together, and trying to stop them, the infernal lord conjures up thousands of creatures to eliminate them. However, the magical warriors are not intimidated, and using their weapons, they destroy each of the monsters with ease, while their voices cause the honeymoon to begin to emerge. Relieved to be together again, the Huntress group embraces, causing their costumes to be transformed into a new version. Without wasting any time, the trio set off towards the stage, but at that moment, Guima absorbs the strength of all the demons around him and throws his flames in Rumi's direction, while the Saja boys set off to attack Zoe and Mira. Before she was eliminated by the Infernal Lord's attack, the young woman was saved by Gina, who asked for forgiveness for everything he had caused in her life. Desperate, Rumi begs the young man not to leave, because all she wants is for everyone to be free. Gina then replies that this has already been achieved, and gives his soul to her friend, causing the Huntress to receive a great level of power. In a rage, Rumi delivers a powerful slash to Guima, who is split in half, and then she charges at the Demon Lord while her friends eliminate each member of the Saja boys. To put an end to all this once and for all, the trio unite to fly towards Guima, and with all the power they have received from their fans, the magical warriors finally manage to defeat him. Thanks to this, Hanmoon is completely restored all over the world, and as they are applauded by their fans, the girls feel happy that they have finally defeated the greatest threat of all time. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.